Hi, it's Matt from Go Green Auto. So here we have a Renault Kangoo electric van. It's a 2014 Kangoo. It's 100% electric. It's got the 22 kilowatt hour battery pack, and those batteries which sits under the floor there are leased, so you pay a monthly fee from £25 plus VAT a month, and for that the batteries are guaranteed for lifetime. You get a 60% state of health guarantee, and you also get breakdown cover included. So the purpose of these videos primarily is to show the condition, and then hopefully what that means is you can buy the vehicle without coming to view it first, and then I deliver it to you. That way I can deliver vehicles to anyone in the country. So I tend to be quite picky. I point out every little negative. In fact, it actually makes my videos, makes the vehicles look worse than they are, because I'm only pointing out the negatives. But I do that so you know exactly what you're getting if you don't come and view it first. I don't hide anything. I'm very honest about the condition because I want happy customers. So let's walk around and describe the condition of this one. Let's start at the front. It's all cosmetic. It's a van at the end of the day. This one isn't as good as the others I've got in stock. The others are like new. This one has been used, but it's all pretty minor. But I'll go through them anyway. There's a little bit of a dent here. There was a larger dent, but I've had it pulled out, but there's still a slight indentation here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little scratches here of about 1.5 centimetres long. They're quite minor, but they won't come out. There's a scratch there, and there's a few there. That's about it. It's metallic silver, by the way, so it really is sparkling. I don't know whether this is coming out okay on the video because it's a very sunny day today, and the sun is just reflecting off that paintwork really strongly, so I'm struggling to see. I don't know what the camera's picking up, but anyway, let's walk round. The wing is all great. A bit of scuffing on that wheel trim. These wheel trims are just plastic. Most people take them off and just have the steel wheels. These trims are unique to the Kangoo ZE, and they do protrude rather, and this side always gets caught on the curbs, so they always are damaged, but it's just a plastic wheel trim. Looking along here, the only thing I need to show you along here is there's a couple of little dents in the bodywork there, and there's a bit of paint there because this was a maintenance van, so it has got the odd little bits of paint around, like there's a little bit on the handle there, and there's some minor scratching around the handle, which you always get where people's hands go. There's a scratch there in the bodywork. There's a very minor rash in the paintwork here where it's rubbed something quite minor. I actually didn't notice that when I was cleaning it. You know, when you clean a vehicle you notice every mark, and I've only just noticed that one. Looking round the side, the only things to note here is there's a bit of red paint on the handle there, a little bit of white paint on the paintwork here, and there's just generally a few little scratches on the back doors there. There's one bigger one there and one there, but again it's all pretty minor. You know, I'm probably sounding very negative here, but you know, I'm standing 2 meters away and you'd look at that vehicle and think, yeah, that looks a nice looking van. A few little bits of paint there on the plastic lens, little bit of yellow paint there, but you know, all these things I'm pointing out are very small. That all looks good. That all looks good. The other thing I'll just say while I'm here, which I forgot to say, this does have extra security locks fitted on every door. Minor little scratch there. Wheel trim's got a little bit of scuffing on the bottom, very minor, but the back wheel trims are pretty good. Well, actually that one's completely mark free, as are the tyres, and the tyre tread depths are on the website. And then looking in the back, this has been freshly ply lined before I brought it in. It's got a particularly pale ply as well, so it does lighten up the inside. We've got the jack kit there because it does have a full-size spare hanging underneath. We've got our charging cable over there, and yeah, the back all looks really good because it is freshly ply lined, but we've got, you know, a few little dents and scratches and a bit of paint, but actually it's all pretty good. And I've cleaned the scuff plate off. I've put new lashing rings here because they always corrode because it collects all the muck under there. The only thing I would just add, whoever put this ply lining in, they didn't get the lashing hooks in the right place first, so they've actually stuck the ply on top of the lashing hooks, which is a bit silly, but it's only in these two middle ones there. And then round on the side, as I said, this is your charge cable, so it's type 2 to type 2 charge cable. And then inside the cab, door card there's all good. Generally pretty good condition inside, to be honest. It does have an alarm fitted, so it has this little unit here on the dash, and then on your keys we've got two of these little fobs which you can make contact with it. I'm not using it myself when I'm driving it, and it seems to be fine. The alarm or immobiliser is not coming on, so I'd imagine you've got to make contact with that if you want to turn it on. But in its normal state, when you lock and unlock, you just get a little blip from the speaker under the bonnet, and it's all working fine. There is a manual for that as well with the books. So there is a bit of wear on the seats, as you'd expect for a van that's been used of this age. A little bit of wear here. There's the odd little paint mark that's obviously come off someone's clothes as they've sat here. But the seat material on the Kangoos isn't the best, to be honest. It does wear pretty quick. But yeah, generally the wear's fine here. Is that dirt or wear? No, possibly wear. It's just generally paint. I have tried to clean the seats, but they're not really cleaning up any more than that. But they're, you know, they're fine. They're average. And then here on the driver's side, we've got a few little bits of paint here again little bits of paint on the seat, a few marks on the seat up there and there, a bit of wear on the seat here again. It's starting just to show a bit of wear on the stitching seam there, a little bit there. The bolsters are generally okay, but as I said, these Kangoo seats, there's pretty thin material on them. However, I do have a seat cover which I can put on here that came from another van, properly fitted seat cover, so I'll probably include that with this one just to stop that seat wearing anymore. A few little marks on the steering wheel, again little bits of paint. The only thing I should really point out with this van, the only things that I do need to show you, is in the door pocket here, right down in here, which you can probably just about see, there has obviously been some spilt glue or resin or something, and then we've got a screw and a glue top, and there's some wood chipping stuck in there. I have tried getting in there to chip it out, but it's too awkward. But it's right down deep there in there. And then there's another little bit the same here in the centre pockets here. You've got cup holders front and back there, and then you've got this centre pocket, and there's a bit of glue here. Again, I've tried chipping it out, but it was doing more damage removing it, so it's best just to leave it. The rest of it is all pretty good condition. This one being a phase 2 van, we've got a stereo with USB input so you can play MP3 music, and it's also got Bluetooth, and we've got a microphone up there on the roof so you can pair your phone and have hands-free phone. So I'll just start the van up, and we can see here it's done 4,919 miles. Generally these vans come straight from the lease company. This one's no different, but what I find is often there's all the previous paperwork left in here. There's all sorts of stuff left in the glove box, side pockets, under the seats, and I can often see who ran the van, who was the previous keeper, and what sort of trade they're in, and this was no different. There was prison wardens union paperwork, and also lots of NHS paperwork, check-in sheets, that sort of thing. So by the looks of it, this was used on an NHS site, or maybe some sort of secure NHS site, maybe a secure hospital or something like that, I don't know. But it's quite typical for these sort of vans, being electric, low range, they find those sort of jobs where they're just driving around a site, not doing many miles, but they're still in use every day. So a van like this, it's genuine miles, it's done less than 5,000 miles, but it's still being used every single day, so you get the sort of normal wear and tear on the rest of the van that you'd expect, but obviously your drivetrain has hardly done any miles. And that's also reflected with the noise of the electric motor. You can always tell on the Renaults, Kangoos and Zoes, the pitch of the electric motor, the noise the motor makes, is very much reflected on the miles it's done. So they're completely silent when they're new, and when they reach about sort of 25,000 miles, they start making a little bit of a whine, and it's completely normal. All electric cars make an electric motor whine as they accelerate. But when you've been dealing with these vehicles as long as I have, you can very much tell the mileage of the drivetrain on the noise that the motor makes, and this one being low mileage, it's still absolutely silent. Just one little very minor thing, because I don't hide anything, I like to show you everything I can find with these videos. This grab handle on the driver's door, the front section, there's a little bit of a gap up here, 2 to 3 millimeters worth. I was going to have a look and pull it apart and see if it's clipped together, but these have a habit of breaking. If you pull these off, sometimes the clips can break, and I could have made it worse rather than better, so I think it's best not to touch it. But crucially, the back bit, which is what you actually pull against, is absolutely solid. It's only the cover on the front which hides the bolt, and it's all fine down here. It's just this little top bit, there's a little bit of play there, but you're pulling on the handle and the handle is rock solid. But anyway, as I said, I just like to show you everything I can find. So as always, I've done detailed photos on the website, so you can go to the photo gallery, and everything that I've highlighted as a bit of a negative, like the paint here, I've got detailed photos which you can zoom in and have a really good look at. It does have 2 remote keys, it's got 2 of these alarm fobs, and then we've got 3 additional keys for the security locks. Right, I'll just show you the paperwork. I can do this one-handed. We've got all the original books here. We've also got the alarm book, radio book. We don't have the quick start guide by the looks of it, but that doesn't matter because we've got the main book. So we've got the handbook here. We should also have the security sticker in the back. We don't have any service stamps. I have written in here the previous Renault service because I do have the sheets for it, and I've done another inspection service. So we've got the, I had some receipt here, there we go, there's the check sheet from the previous service, which was done at 3,500 miles. The MOT is until 12th of May 2020. However, this van is actually MOT exempt, so there's no legal requirement to get an MOT on it. All electric vans before March 2015 are MOT exempt. So no previous keepers, 1 keeper from new, and the registration date of this one is 31st of the 3rd 2014. So we've got a previous service check sheet. Then we've got the original PDI documents from when the vehicle was new there. So we've got all the paperwork you would want to see. We've got 2 spare keys, 2 keys, and all the other security keys and alarm fobs as I've shown you. Everything works as it should do. These Kangoo vans have preconditioning, so you can leave the heating round to the timer function here, set a timer on the dash, tell it what time you're going to leave in the morning, and then while the van is connected to your home charger, it will switch on and it will heat the van up. Obviously in the winter, you will melt all the ice off the windscreen and off the windows, get the cab warm. In the summer, what it does is it puts the fans on and tries to cool the vehicle. This vehicle doesn't come with air conditioning, so all it can do is move the air around. But what it happens is it tries to get the vehicle ready, more useful in the winter, where it will warm the van up, and then when you disconnect, you've still got 100% battery, 100% range, and the cab is already warm, so you can probably then do your driving without the heating on at all, because the heating does zap energy from the main traction battery and does reduce your range. This van has got the solid bulkhead behind me, so you're only heating up the cab area, so it does work very well. It's a really nice function in the vans, and it's all about maximising your range. Down here we have an eco button. when that's pressed, you get a little E, which we can't see because the sun's too bright, to put a little E up here above your gear selector, and that reduces power to the motor, which extends your range a little bit. And for normal driving, certainly for town stop-start driving, you don't really notice any difference. What it does do is it does help you to stop wheel spinning in the rain, because these have, all electric vehicles, they've got instant torque, and it's very easy on the Kangoos if you drive a bit fast just to spin the front wheels. So for normal driving, you know, you keep it in eco mode. It's only if you're on a fast road and you want maximum speed is when you would take it out of eco, because that does reduce your top speed to about 60 miles an hour or so. So let's talk about the battery and the range, probably your two most important questions. So with all the Kangoo vans, I do a thorough range test. I charge them to full and I drive it to empty, doing normal real driving, normal road speeds. So I can tell you with confidence how many miles the van is doing, and it gives me a good idea of the state of health of the battery. So with this one, I charged it to full. I scanned the battery with my scanner when I left, and the battery was at 92.12% state of charge. I drove it right round to 0 until the restrictive power mode came on, and when I got back, I did a few miles in that restrictive power state, and I plugged in my scanner and it had 1.6% state of charge left, and I did 80.7 miles. So 81 miles effectively. And my average driving over that tank full of fuel, well, battery full of fuel, should I say, battery full of electrons, I drove 4.74 miles per kilowatt hour. And as I said, I was driving normal road speeds. Most of the roads around here are country roads where I was typically doing 30 to 40 miles an hour. And then there's A roads where most of them are restricted to 50 miles an hour around here. So I tend to be driving between 30 and 50. But there was no stop start. You know, I'm having to exhaust the battery. It gets very tedious. It takes near enough 2 hours. On an evening, and I'm doing this all the time. So you can actually improve the range if you're driving in town stop-start traffic, because when you're slowing down, you're getting that regen braking effect. So on these Kangoos, the regen is quite strong, so you can come to a complete stop without touching the foot brake, which is what you want to do. You want to slow down using the electric motor, because you're putting energy back in the battery. If you just go from the accelerator to the foot brake, you're just throwing away that energy in friction and heat on the brakes, which you don't want to. You want to transfer it into your battery. And you can genuinely drive these all the time without ever touching the brakes. Your brakes on a Kangoo van will last more than 100,000 miles if you drive them properly. You only touch the brakes to hold it once you come to a stop. These really do have very good regen. Let me just use the buttons on the stalk and I'll just go through the screen here. So the predicted range, I think, was showing 83 miles on this. Let's have a look. There, range is now showing 80, because it does actually clock down when you're sat still, and I've been filming for a bit. But yeah, it's predicting 80 mile range, and what did I do? I did 80.7. So yeah, it's about that. But as always, range very much depends on how you drive, just like it is with a petrol or diesel car. If you're heavy with your right foot, you're not going to get very good economy. It's absolutely no different. But all you want to do with an electric vehicle is just accelerate a little bit slower. And when you got to read the road, so when you want to slow down, you lift off the accelerator sooner and you coast. And when you're doing that coasting, you're getting the regen on the motor and you're putting energy back in the battery, and you use that to slow you down rather than the foot brake, as I said. So when I did my range test, I then plugged in the scanner and I scanned the battery, and the battery is at 95.5% state of health. And obviously with the batteries with these, you hire the battery, you don't own the battery, it's still Renault's responsibility. So these batteries are guaranteed to 60% state of health, but actually some people's contracts still say 75%, as it is on the newer Kangoos. RCI frequently make mistakes with people's contracts, so you know, it'll either be 60 or 75% depending on your contract. And when you hit that level, you will get either a new battery or a refurbishment of your battery. So it's always sort of predicted that sort of level will come in when the vehicles are about 10 years old. But as I said, this one is currently at 95.5%, hence why it's got reasonably good range. Well, actually very good range for a Kangoo. So yeah, this one's all good for now. So charging on these Kangoos is via a Type 2 socket here on the front, AC charging only. The charge flap is working fine on this as well, because these have a habit of snapping off, but it's properly lubricated and all running smoothly. The charging speed on these is 3.6 kilowatt. They only have the single charging speed, so there's no rapid charging on a Kangoo. So these are no good for the long distance driving, because you can't do that quick rapid charge. Typically these take about 5.5 hours to charge on a charger. So normally it's overnight charging only, but if you're commuting to work and the van's sat not being used at a site or workplace during the day, and you can charge, then you're going to get another full charge throughout the day, so you can double the range. So I can also supply a portable charger. That means you can charge on a normal 3-pin plug. They're often called a granny cable. What I do is a free loan on those, so you have to buy the cable to start with, and then you can use it for up to a month until your home charger or workplace charger gets installed, and then if you don't want it anymore you can return it and I will give you a full refund, hence why it's a free loan then. Those chargers are very useful because you can charge anywhere on a 3-pin plug. Because of that, most people end up keeping them because they are handy things. So you could charge while you're out at work during the day and get that nice top up. Those portable chargers, they only draw 10 amps, so they do take longer to charge. So they take about 9 hours to charge it from 0 to 100%, but it'll always be charged by the morning. And obviously once you get your proper wall charger, home or workplace charger installed, then the van will charge much quicker on a normal charger. That charger, they now cost from £300 to get installed. Again, I can arrange that as well. They take about 2 weeks to get installed, and you get an OLEV grant of £500 towards the cost of that. The installer does that on your behalf, and hence why they end up costing 300 quid all in. So this van is ready to go, so if you're interested, give me a call or email. Also let me know your postcode. I can deliver these anywhere in the country. It will come to you on a flatbed and it will be fully charged and ready to use. And as I said, I'll supply a portable charger, so straight from the off you can charge this overnight on a normal socket. If you live in London, then these vans are exempt from the low emission zone and also the congestion zone. And Transport for London are also doing a scrappage scheme. So if you're coming from an older dirty diesel, then you can actually get a £6,000 grant towards the cost of an electric vehicle. So it makes these a no-brainer that, you know, even if you're not even if you don't qualify for the grant and you're just going to drive this into the zone every day, you can save £7,200 alone on fees. So the vans pay for themselves in about a year. But yeah, even anywhere else, they're very low to run. You've got no road tax, no MOT. Electric vans cost roughly 2 to 3 pence a mile to run versus 13-14 pence, something like that, for a diesel. But if you can charge overnight on a cheap rate electricity tariff, then you're looking more like a penny a mile. And obviously in places there's free electric charging, so if you can happen to charge overnight somewhere where there's free energy, then your running costs are going to be nothing.